Hi there, it's Peter Hipster King from the Hairy Game Lords, and this is
the Hipster Prince from the Mini Hairy Game Lords.
And we are here today with one of our lockdown unboxings of something that we have been waiting for a very long time for. Oh yes, and now here it is, Marvel United Kickstarter Ultimate Pledge All In has finally arrived, and we have been properly looking forward to this, haven't we?
Yes.
So let's, without further ado, let's get into this and see what on earth all the fuss is about. So Simon been producing big mini heavy games for a very long time. We've got Zombicide. I've enjoyed playing that. But the minute we saw this, we're both big Marvel fans, and this for us was a no-brainer. And it is a co-review because we have both put our money into this. Gregor saved up, Hipster Prince saved up a load of money to be able to come in with this. So let's take a look at what we find in the first box. Actually, we probably should do the outside of the box first. So the first thing you notice, the artwork, stunning. It may not be to your taste. I really love the little chibi artwork that they've put in on this. So, you know, those big heads and slightly funny shaped bodies, I think looks stunning. Back of the box shows you your key characters that you're going to be playing. The idea is this is a co-op game for 1 to 4 players, 14 plus. And the idea is you're going to play as a group of heroes playing against one of the various villain options they've got in the game. And you basically are going to be playing cards. Those cards allow you to do actions, and you're going to be jumping around a set of locations that are sort of randomly chosen. And then after you've taken so many actions, the villain, 3 actions to start with, then the villain takes their action. Often that can give you a bit of damage, that can do you some harm, or and you basically have to try and get through the challenges that they set you to defeat the villain before the villain defeats you. Standard sort of co-op mechanics going on, and just looks absolutely stunning. So let's take a look inside the box. So, some free content. Probably shouldn't show everybody be downloading that now. Right, we'll have a look at what that is. So, rulebook. This is quite a light game and it's quite a light rulebook. So let's just take a look inside. So we've got standard what we've got in the box. So the core set comes with Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow, Captain Marvel, Hulk, Wasp, and Ant-Man. And we've got Red Skull, Ultron, and Taskmaster as the baddies. What does setup look like on the table? So you've got your locations around the enemy, the villain's central card, and then you're going to be playing your cards around the outside. Really nicely spaced out, lots of easy pictures. You can tell straight away this is not a hugely deep game. I know that if you can sort of set the difficulty, so it can still be a difficult game, although really simple in terms of its ease of play. So nicely laid out rule book. You've got your solo mode in there, showing us what we're doing and how we're doing it. Right, Gregor. Do you want to have a look at, maybe punch a couple of those out, see what the thickness is like? Punching nice and easily. These are the various tokens that you're going to put out. So you've got your, I think it's wild tokens, you've got move, you've got damage, they're the move ones. And you've got the, I think it's the ultimate kind of, is it ultimate? I will check. Heroic tokens, which are those yellow star ones. And then we have various other tokens. I think those are invulnerables. We've got these little guys, which are your thugs. They're the villain is going to be placing thugs out onto the board and civilians, and those are going to be things that you're going to have to try and remove. And basically, you filling up the villain cards with these as you go around and help out those civilians and rescue the civilians and get rid of those thugs. And you fill up a little card, and once you've filled that card up, you've defeated one of the sort of elements of the villain's strategies, allowing you to get closer to victory. So there's our punch boards, loads of tokens to punch out. got to show this. How nice is this done? So you've got kind of a really nice window into the box. The insert topper has been embossed with Marble United. Let's get in and have a look at what we've got in here then. So obviously the key things here are the minis. So let's take a look. Greg, you're going to pick one of your favourite characters from there and let's have a look at some of them. You're going with Ant-Man. Well, if you're going with Ant-Man, let's take you show Ant-Man off then.
On a coin there.
Obviously with Ant-Man, you've got to show. I'll move it away. Bring her in. Here's Wasp. And what I really like about these minis is the detail of the bases. So Wasp, if you can't see there, is stood on a dice or leaning against a little die on the floor. So that looks, and each one of the different characters are on specially molded bases. So there's Red Skull. So you've got detail, and each detail is different. So they've really gone to town on these minis, and
There's
they are.
Hulk who has smashed the floor.
These really do look good. Really impressed with those. So we've told you already that you're going to be fighting in a number of the enemies in a number of different locations. So you have these location cards, all with the Marble United back. This is quite thin cards. Some people have said, you know, that they wished it was a bit thicker. To be honest, I think that's all right for this kind of game. There was an option to get a kind of a thicker card if you wanted as an add-on. We decided that we didn't feel that was going to be worth it. You've got all these different venues, and basically you've got the marks here at the top where you're going to put those civilians and thugs, and then when you've cleared out, there will be a card laid on the front here. When you've beaten whatever it is at this location, you then get the bonus, and each location has got different bonuses. So it's where you end up and where you end your turn will give you a whole load of different bonuses. So in the core set, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different locations in the base core set, and you're going to be using 5 of those per game. So it's already building in replayability. Let's have a look at what else we've got in here. So this is where you start to look at your villains. So you have your villain dashboard. Again, nicely got the old Marvel United back. And there are going to be 3 key things that you need to do. One is about saving those civilians. One card here is going to be about the thugs, and the other one is on each one of those locations, you're going to have a specific card that you're going to have to kind of get rid of. And when you've got rid of 4 of those, you've completed that unlock. And depending on which ones you unlock, you'll get different bonuses. One of them makes the game more difficult. The rest help finish the game off. So that's the villain dashboard. Alongside that, you've got these, which are your villain cards. Greg will show you those.
So there you've got the actions of the villains.
So it tells you what their core aim is, and also gives you their BAM effect, which is one of the things that can come out on one of their cards, which does obviously an extra level of damage. And as we've said, we've got the 3 main villains in this game: Red Skull, Taskmaster, and Ultron. And what would a minis and card game be without the cards? So I'm just trying to get into the deck of cards as we speak. So we'll go from the top down. So these are those 3. So clearing threats, rescuing civilians, and defeating thugs are the 3 main aims to help you kill off that bad guy, and to be able to, and once you've cleared off 2 of those, you can start to do damage to the villain. And talking of the villain, each villain has their own deck of cards. So you've got the villain on the back, and then it will tell you this one, for example, Red Skull's not going to move, but he's going to do his BAM effect. On this one, Red Skull will move 1 space clockwise. He will then add on the space he's on 2 of the thug tokens and a thug to the spaces either side. So very, very quickly you start to fill up with thugs and civilians as you're going through the enemy deck. Problem is, if you overflow, on thugs and civilians, you start to take damage, and you've only got so many lives. Basically, your life track is your own deck of cards. Every time you take damage, you're going to lose a card from your hand, and when you've got no cards in your hand, you're dead. So that's kind of one of the ways the villain can beat you. The other way that the villain can beat you is if they get their fear track up to 20, and there are various ways that happens, again, you're defeated. So number of ways to lose, and only one way to win, to defeat the villain. So that's one set of the villain cards. Each villain has got a set of threat cards. These threats are placed onto the locations, and when you clear that threat, and remember you have to clear 4 threats in a game, you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 threats. So again, replayability, because you're only going to be using 5, so you're going to pick, there's going to be 1 left out each time. So that's threat cards. You're still getting into those. Do you want to show the other cards, some of the other villain cards, and I'll open that one up.
You've got Ultra on the back there.
I really love the artwork. It's so cool. It's quite a different sort of look to the Marvel characters, not quite the MCU versions or some of the comic versions, but I like the way they've gone for something that looks slightly different. And we've got here some of the hero cards. So same as before, you've got the heroes on the back, and then on the front you've got the various actions. And the way this game works, if I'm playing as Wasp, I'll choose the card from my hand that I'm going to play. This one will allow me to move 1 space. The next player will play a card. So let's say it was Ant-Man, and Ant-Man played this card. This would allow him to move as well, but they would also get the last card's effect. That would allow Ant-Man to move twice. So you've got to plan the way you're going to lay your cards so that you're going to get the best out of the card that you're playing, but also the card that was played before and the player that's coming next. They've got to think about what you're going to leave for the next person. So it's kind of teaming up to work out how you're going to beat your character. And each character has got different things they can do. Some Captain America, much more heroic. Hulk, unsurprisingly, what does Hulk do? Hulk smashes, so he does a lot of damage. So different characters have got slightly different decks that will allow you to play slightly differently. The other thing that is each character's got within their deck, he tries to find it, is these wild actions. Those 2 cards are wild. Now, you can set the difficulty by removing some of these wild cards, because obviously the wild cards you can use for anything, makes it a little bit easier. So if you want a more difficult game, that's how you turn up the difficulty in Marvel United. So that is the basics of the core box. The other thing you need to know, space in here allows you to put all your tokens in, and there is space enough within this to allow for sleeved cards for the core set. So that's the core set, but this is a much bigger unboxing than this. So I'm going to hand back over to the Hipster Prince, who's going to show you some of the expansion boxes and what we get with all those extras.
This is the Sinister Six, and I think that this is one of the most thought out and very different kind of expansions. In this expansion, you fight all of the Sinister Six. You don't just fight one villain. Just getting the cellophane off here. The rules here, just 2 pages of rules there, so not much to read. What's this? This is the Sinister Six special rules. So you've got all of the characters on one wheel there.
We haven't played this yet, so we're not 100% sure. So we'll now get into showing you what's inside this box. Sorry, I'm just looking at these minis. We're going to show you some more of these minis because they are just so good.
There's Mysterio, looking mysterious.
Sandman. Let's try and get him in focus a bit. No, it's not going to pick it up. Try again. You have to, if you sit back a bit. That's what you pick up. Right, here's Sandman. I don't know if it's coming through, but the detail on these minis is absolutely brilliant. So who else do you get in the Sinister Six then?
Well, you have Mysterio, Vulture, Sandman, Electro, Dr. Octopus, and
Craven.
Craven, yeah.
And just showing you the box again, see if you can pick up the images there. And just like the other boxes, you're going to have villain decks for all of those, and the threat decks, and you've got villain cards, villain dashboards for each one of those villains, and then you'll be picking your team that's going to go up against the Sinister Six. So each of the expansions basically adds an additional layer of gameplay to the game, a different way of playing the base game. So this, in the first base game, you're just going to be playing against one villain. Here you're taking on the whole Sinister Six, which makes it a much more difficult challenge to beat. And then we'll get into one of the next sets.
Here are the villain dashboards, I think they're called. And then you've got the character's name and the character on the back.
Brilliant. Well, if you've got the Sinister Six, who's going to be fighting the Sinister Six? Let's go straight into that box, I think.
It's most likely.
We'll just move, sorry. Too much stuff to move about. I'll try and do some tidying while we're going.
Into the Spider-Verse expansion.
Oh my days! And this has got one of your favourite characters on. This was one of the reasons we went for the Ultimate Pledge. And Gregor had been hoping for the whole campaign for 2 characters to come, and one of them is inside this box.
There's a couple more that I wanted.
So brief instructions, because basically you're going to be playing along the game.
There you've got, of course, some tokens.
So new tokens again, bringing in another different element of gameplay that this expansion adds. And let's take a look at who we get here. This is the one. This is the guy.
Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham.
Or Peter Porker as the...
And again, just looking at the quality of the minis and the bases, I really like this one. So they offered a couple of, we ended up with a couple of different sculpts for Spider-Man. They're so dynamic, is what I really like about the quality here. And there he is, the Goblin himself.
On his flying podium, flying gargoyle thing. Don't know exactly what it's called.
And there's Spider-Gwen.
Or the Ghost Spider.
AKA. These minis are just stunning. Oh, they've done such a good job.
Loads of...
With this expansion, you get a whole load more new locations.
So you've got Brooklyn Bridge. Obviously, that's where...
Famous in the Spider-Man universe.
Daily Bugle, also famous. That one of the bad guys, J. Jonah Jameson, who hates Spider-Man. And
Peter Parker worked at the Daily Bugle, didn't he?
Osborn Laboratories, famous place where Green Goblin, that's Osborn is the Green Goblin. Oscorp, another business of Osborne. Queens, Spider-Man's neighborhood, and then that's his high school. Well,
so they've
secondary school.
They've clearly picked a whole load of it. So this gives you more to play with. Obviously, you've only got the one villain dashboard this time, and it's got the special setup for playing this particular expansion. We'll show cards, same as before, all the kind of same. With this one, the addition here, and this is what this is about. Obviously, superheroes are famous for having that secret identity, as often are villains too. And this is all. One of the options in here is that you bring in the secret identity mechanic, so it adds more to the game again. Right, we'll move on. That's the beside you. That's the end of the Spider-Verse. So we'll come back to me now. I've got a few expansions here that I was excited about. I can remember seeing this film in 4D.
This was our first 4DX film, and let me say, it was worth it.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the best it was probably one of the best Marvel films ever.
So this is Rise of the Black Panther, and let's take a look at what comes in this expansion box. So it's going to follow, I think, a similar feel. We've got here Endangered location tokens. So the locations themselves can have become endangered this time. So we're again new mechanics being added each time. Box inside looks pretty much the same. This time we're going to be getting just 3 heroes and 1 villain. So we'll take a look at those in just a minute.
Of course, we have to show the main.
So there he is, the Black Panther in all his glory. Look at that again. I'm trying to get that in focus. Stunning. We have our villain this time is Killmonger.
Great bad guy, I have to say, in the film. Great bad guy.
And Bucky.
Bucky Barnes.
And Bucky,
Winter Soldier.
the Winter Soldier there, joining him.
Sure, he's gone in the wrong way.
Again, really quickly trying to fly through some of this. We've got a whole new set, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new Wakanda-based locations to play from. So we've got Golden City, the Great Mound, Jabari Village, the Royal Palace, Shuri's Lab, and Warrior Falls from that. And I can remember that scene getting absolutely battered in my back with the thumping fists in the 4DX and getting lots of water splashed on my face as well.
Goblin City is. Can't remember now. Quite a while since we saw it.
So that is that one. I'm going to show one more and then we'll flip back to the Hipster print. So that's Rise of the Black Panther there. Another 4 minutes to get involved with. Now we're on to a lot of people's favourite bad guy. Here comes Thanos. It took some time, but he arguably one of the, I would say, one of the best villains that we've seen in the MCU. There are more coming in the new phases, etc. But so this is the Infinity Gauntlet. So we'll get this box open and see what this comes with. So we've got this rule book, almost as thick as the original rule book. So the Infinity Gauntlet is coming with a whole set of additional rules. There are special rules, and unsurprisingly, this is taking your trip down memory lane. You're going to be. This is all about the Infinity Stones. Gregor's looking in already. Whole heap. So there are 2 sets. So we've got the Infinity Gauntlet expansion locations. a whole load of those.
Oh, this is where it gets. Is this where
And
it
then-
gets the
And then there's
stones?
I think there's the infinity. There's the stone. There's
Location.
Thanos's locations here.
No, it's the stone locations.
Yeah. So here we go with the Infinity Gauntlet locations. So my understanding is you've got to stop Thanos getting all the Infinity Stones. There's the man himself. The other villains we've got in this pack
Obsidian.
are Black Dwarf,
It's not his full name.
Proxima Midnight, and
Ebony Moore.
are our four villains in this. A new villain dashboard, and then it's double-sided because you can play the Infinity Gauntlet, I think, 2 ways. And I've been holding off on doing this, but I'm gonna show you in a second, because it wouldn't be the Infinity Gauntlet if it didn't come with the Infinity Gauntlet.
No, of course you have to do what every villain does. You just have to.
So your job is to try and prevent Thanos from
I don't know the order.
putting the stones into his glove, into the gauntlet.
Just gonna put them in.
There's been a lot on the Kickstarter comments, and people have been getting this. This looks great on the table, but to be totally honest, it is made from vacuum formed plastic. It is really quite thin, but it does look good.
And I am inevitable.
So let's take a look at the villains in here. Oh my days, these minis are just to die for. They are stunning quality.
That's
Real good level of details. And here he is, the man himself, wearing the gauntlet, just about to snap. So the Infinity Gauntlet expansion there, it's just a villains expansion that brings in 2 different ways. So you can either just play the villains, or you can play that the expansion game where you're trying to stop Thanos getting all the stones for the gauntlet. Right, then back to you.
One of my other favourite characters. This wasn't my second favourite character, but is one of my favourite characters. It is Tales of Asgard expansion with Thor, Loki, Korg, and Valkyrie. Oh, and Beta Ray Bill. I think that's how you say it.
Big fan of Korg in this house, aren't we?
Yeah.
You'll be pleased to know we're nearly at the bottom of the pile of amazing stuff we've got in this. Thanks for sticking with us. So, yet again, more tokens, which is going to be bringing in a new expansion. Yeah, because with Loki,
he's the god of mischief.
God of mischief, and this has kind of got a bit of a hidden traitor mechanic in this one. So another new mechanic that you can add into your games. Who's this?
Korg. This is Korg.
I was expecting you to do the voice.
My name's Korg, and I'm made of rocks. And then one from Endgame. Thor, that kid's on the TV again.
We do like Thor. This is one of my favourite characters in the MCU. I do like Loki. That classic hat and his staff. Another really beautifully detailed mini.
There you have Beta Ray Bill. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong.
Might be Beta. I'm not sure if it's Beta or Beta. Probably depends where you come from. And here's the man himself.
Thor.
God of Thunder.
Not Valkyrie.
And we've also got Valkyrie.
From Thor Ragnarok.
So we've got the Loki's villain dashboard.
Of course, the name. Oh, and he's also got the stone in the staff.
Yeah. And then a whole new set of location cards.
Of course, you have to have the Bifrost Bridge that leads into Asgard.
The Asgardian Palace, the Throne Room, Valhalla. Brilliant. So another new mechanic there, and I've kept this one for last because for whatever reason, this is probably my favourite of the films, apart from obviously Endgame, etc. I'm a big fan of the Guardians, and it wouldn't
Also,
be. So here we have the Guardians of the Galaxy remix pack. So let's take a look at what we have in this pack. Again, it's a single sheet of rules, so this isn't a huge addition in terms of new rules, etc. They've brought in knockout tokens though, so they've got a slightly different way to play in here. So another little addition. So let's take a look at what's inside the box. We've got, unsurprisingly, a whole new set of locations. So you can fight on board the Milano. You can be nowhere. You can be at Xandar, Morag, the Collector's Museum. Love the scenes in the Collector's Museum, and also in Kiln there. So lots of locations to play from. You've got your enemy this time is going to be Ronan. And let's take a look at his mini. Oh, so good.
my favourite character in the scene with Collector, post-credits scene. See if we can guess now who it is.
There we have the Groot, possibly one of our favourite characters in the whole MCU in our house.
Especially in Infinity War. Teenage Groot.
Obviously twinned up with Rocket there, who wouldn't be Rocket if he wasn't holding a massive firearm. Look at that gun he's got there.
What's from this box here?
So another big expansion, loads of great characters, and there's somebody missing in this box, I would argue. The main box comes with, as I say, Rocket. Who have we got?
A Mirror Puppet Child.
Here he comes. So there's an extra add-on at the end of the campaign. There were a couple of characters that they hadn't put in. So this one comes, it's in its own special box, although beautifully and helpfully, Yondu's also got a space in the big Kickstarter exclusive content box. So you don't need to keep him in a special box, but
Oh, of course he has his.
here he is. And he's got his little deck of cards as well. So they'll be moving over and going into these other big box, which will be coming over shortly. So let me just create a bit of
You have
space.
another character as well.
Oh yeah, one of the characters that comes in a similar way to Yondu.
The Marvel United one, really. Or the Infinity Gauntlet.
But somebody that a lot of people on the comments boxes when we were in the Kickstarter campaign were desperate to see. Adam Warlock is the sort of final extra add-on little character who comes in his own little box.
Can't get him out there.
I'll see if I can.
But he is from the Infinity Gauntlet comics, so I'm surprised they didn't come with the Infinity Gauntlet.
I suppose he wasn't in the film, is probably why. But let's just have a quick look.
Fans wanted him to be in the film, I think.
There we go, let's show him off.
Got him there with his
Stuff and cloak there.
stuff and cloak. I think he's flying there.
Right then, so the last thing we've got.
Of course, it wouldn't be a command game or CMON
if we didn't have a huge amount of extra minis. So we've got all of those characters in all of the other expansions, but there were a whole load of other characters. So like in the Guardians of the Galaxy, you've got in there that we see, you've got Star-Lord, Groot, Rocket and Gamora, but there are characters that aren't included. So it's really important that we have all of those characters, and this is where the giant Kickstarter exclusive box comes in.
Oh, I didn't know it. I've not actually seen the layout of this box, I don't think.
So inside here you get one box that contains your tray of minis.
Find my favourite.
So
one of my favourite villains here, Rhino.
Yeah. So one tray containing a whole load of extra villains that we can look at, and a whole heap of amazing characters from the Marvel Universe that we all know and love. There's Doctor Strange, one that, I'll be honest, I was quite looking forward to and didn't think was going to make it. Don't know if you can see her, but if I turn around, you'll probably realise there she is. Squirrel Girl has made it into here. But some classic sort of Avengers characters. Wouldn't be the Avengers without Hawkeye and his bow and arrow. This guy, I think, coming soon.
On Friday.
On Friday to Disney Plus.
MODOK. I mean,
some great baddies.
Kingpin, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's Kingpin there.
Or Wilson Fisk, if you're a big Spider-Man geek fan.
Two different Venom.
No, that's Carnage.
Oh, Carnage and Venom.
If you mix them together, it's Carnan.
Hella. Just stunning. Right, let's have a look at the next tray.
These are lesser known characters, I think.
There's a fair mix.
So you've got Punisher there with his massive weapon.
The Flash. I lied. Cut that. That's an outtake. DC. Who's this? Daredevil.
Can't believe that. I'm still not over it.
Who is it?
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
Still not over it.
It's not. It's Daredevil. Double D on his chest.
You can put those both in the outtake, Andrew.
This is one of your. This reminds me of you. There he is.
Yeah.
Iron Fist. Right, you need to move back because it's not focusing, I think. You will help it focus anyway. Here's Iron Fist. We'll just get a couple more.
Ghost Rider. One of the probably best Marvel characters. You've got Blade there, the vampire. And then one of my favourite of all time Marvel characters, Howard the Duck. We didn't think he was going to make it, but then he made it in.
And so for all of these additional characters, you've got obviously for the villains, you've got their villain deck and villain dashboards. And for all the heroes, you get hero decks for all of these characters as well. And as already said, there's 2 spaces left in the tray for those 2 additional characters for Yondu and Adam Warlock. So, Marvel United, what a hell of a heap of stuff. This is almost 2 Kallax cubes worth of stuff. And that's gonna, we're gonna now have a whole lot of time punching stuff out, opening up packs of cards, making sure everything's in the right boxes, etc. And then cannot wait to get this to the table this evening and have a bit of a play. Really looking forward to getting into this. Hope you've enjoyed our unboxing and it's given you a little bit of a taste for what you could get. The other good news and exciting news is if you like the look of this and you missed it first time, you can't get this one, but in about 3-4 weeks' time, they've already announced the X-Men are coming. They're doing an X-Men version. We're not sure who else is going to be. There's lots of speculation about what other expansion packs there might be available. Will we see Deadpool? Will we see the Fantastic Four? Will we see the Inhumans? Who knows? Champions. But if you like the look of this, you like your minis and card games, you like co-op play, do check that out when it comes to Kickstarter shortly. Thanks for listening. I've been the Hipster King from the Hairy Game Lords, and
I've been the Hipster Prince.
We are big thumbs up for the look of this one.